Hello and welcome to Quantum IS. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about some mathematical tools and conservation of energy. This is the lecture second of the mechanics module. Okay, so let's get started with some mathematical tools, vector calculus. So we first need to understand about what do we mean by scalar and vector field. So first we will discuss about the scalar and vector field, and then we will discuss the operator, gradient, curl, and so on. Okay. So if I can define this, we can define this a physical quantity expressed as a continuous. Here, continuous is important. Function of position. So we are studying about the field. So function of position is also important. Function of position of a point in a region of space is referred to as point function. So this is what we generally call a point function. Okay, and the region which we are talking about of the space that we are concerned with is known as vector or scalar field. Depending upon the nature of this physical quantity. If this physical quantity is a vector quantity, then it will be a vector field. If the physical quantity is scalar quantity, then it will be a scalar field. Okay, so scalar field, if we write down, we can write down some example. For example, temperature. Temperature is a scalar quantity. Electrostatic potential. So if we are going to discuss about the, let's suppose this is a region, this is X, this is Y, sorry, and this is Z. Suppose we are talking about the temperature of this position, T1, T2, T3, then it will give us a scalar field. Similarly, we can talk about the electrostatic field also. If we look into the vector field, we have some example like electric field. You can also demonstrate electric field lines. These are, let's suppose, the electric field lines or flow of water, its velocity distribution. Suppose this is the pipe and fluid is flowing like this. So if you are writing this V1, this as V2, this as V3, if you are writing the velocity distribution, then it will represent the vector field, because velocity is a vector quantity, electric field is a vector quantity, so it will denote its vector field. Where if we are defining temperature or such that electrostatic potential, then we are defining the scalar field. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to study about a operator, right? For example, we have studied in our basic classes sine. Sine is an operator. If we put something here, it will indicate its sine value. If we put any angle here, also this, if we put anything here, then it will differentiate it about the x. Okay, so just like these operators, we have operator, the operator, this we call it del or nabla. Okay, basically we call it a del operator. So how can we define del operator? So we can define here, we can define this. Just let me clear one thing. We are not going to discuss the mathematical physics part here. We are just going to see some of the formula, some of the identities, some of the equations relation, so that we can help these equation in our course. So we are not going to study mathematical physics here. We are just studying the basics. बस जितने से काम अपना हो जाए बस उतना ही पढ़ रहे हैं. Okay, so we can define this operator as, I'm writing I cap here so that you don't confuse about this. Wait. Yes. Del x plus del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z. So this equation, this relation represent the del operator. This is the del operator. Okay, so what can we, wait, yes, also what can we write about it? So we can write it, it operates distributively. So you can see that it has component in x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. Here we are writing this in Cartesian coordinate system. It will look different in polar and spherical and cylindrical coordinate system, but we are writing this in Cartesian coordinate system. So it operates distributively and is formally assumed to have vector-like characteristics. So we assume that it has some vector-like characteristics, but it is not a vector. You should remember this also. It's not a vector. Okay, it is not a vector, but it has some characteristics of vector that we will see. Okay. Also, if we want to relate it with, we can relate it with the differential notation. So it obeys the same convention as the differential notation does. For example, we write like this, df by dx. This is the correct way of writing. We cannot write f d of dx. No, we cannot write that. Similarly, here also, we can write this, but we cannot write this. This has no meaning, no significance. This is an operator. You need to understand that. Okay, so it has no function, it has no significance, it has no significance unless acted upon a function. What we need to understand here, what we need to memorize here, so this is our del operator. We need to memorize how we can use this in Cartesian coordinate. This is the equation, and also this is the very important thing. So it has no significance unless acted upon a function. If you're not operating it over a function, then it has no significance of its own, right? Okay, so we are going to discuss some of the ordinary results that we see in vector. For example, let me draw a line, and if we have a ordinary vector, we are saying that it has some vector property, but it's not a vector. So suppose if we have an ordinary vector A, what we can do with A? We can multiply with a scalar, and that will gives us lambda A. If lambda is the scalar, we can multiply it with A and it will give us lambda A. Also, we can find its dot product. Suppose we have two vectors A and B, so we can write the dot product as A dot B. Also, we can find cross product. So two vector can be multiplied by dot product or cross product. So this is A cross B. Similarly, here also, this is an operator, not a vector, but it has some analogous with the previous. It can act like, how it can act? So first, it can act on a scalar function. On a scalar function, that is, for example, this t, and this we call gradient. We will study about it later, but just suppose if it act on the scalar, it will give this gradient. Also, it can act over a vector. Also, this is not a vector, but we are assuming it has some characteristics of vector. So it can act over a vector via dot product or cross product. So via dot product, if it can act, we can write it as let's suppose A. Okay, and this what we called as divergence. So there may be some glitches in this software, don't you worry about that. It can also act on a vector via cross product. This, and this what we call as curl. So we are going to discuss this in next, the gradient, divergence, and the curl. So what we need to study, this equation, it has no significance and it can operate in three ways. It can operate in a gradient, divergence, and curl in first order derivative, right? We need to understand this also. Okay, next we are going to study about gradient. We have just defined gradient, but before getting started with gradient, we can write through our previous knowledge of partial derivative. If t is a scalar function, let suppose t is a scalar function. Okay, t is a function of x, y, z, multivariable. Okay, we are assuming this. So we can write it as del t by del x dx. This much basic we know. Del t by del y dy and del t upon del z dz. Okay, we know this. Okay, so basically what does it tells? So this tells us how t changes when we alter all three variable by infinitesimal amount. For example, suppose if we are focusing on this for a while. For example, let's suppose this is x coordinate, this is y coordinate, this is z coordinate. We are not talking about gradient now. This is not gradient. Okay, so if we have the temperature at this point d, so what is this saying? This is saying how the temperature will change if we change the variable by a very small amount, that is infinitesimal amount. Infinitesimal amount. What is infinitesimal amount? It is dx in x, dy in y, and dz. This small changes. If we do this dx, this dy, and this as dz, so how the t change, that it will define. Okay. Okay. Let's move. So if we can write this equation, we can write it like this also. dt equals to del t, because it's a scalar function, so we can write it at dot product of two vector. Okay, del t by del x I cap plus del t by del y j cap plus del t by del z k cap dot dx I cap dy j cap plus dz k cap. Okay, and we can write this as this dot, this we can write as df. So here this one, what we have done, this we call is the gradient of scalar function. Okay, so this is what? Gradient of a scalar, and we know that it is a point function. We already discussed about the point function, scalar and vector field. Okay, this is what gradient of a scalar point function, and it is also a vector quantity. It is also a vector quantity. So you can write this. You can write this. This dt is what? Check it from here. That was del t by del x I cap, where t is a scalar function. T may be the function of x, y, and z. We're not going to discuss any mathematical question here, but just if t is the function of f, x, y, and z, then del t can be written as del f by del x I cap plus del f by del y j cap plus del f by del z k cap. Okay, I also request you not to go much deep in these type of mathematical relation. You just have to have an overlook so that you can apply these in our whole course. Okay, so one thing what I want to tell you also, okay, what does it geometrically mean? If you want to find this geometrically, so suppose we have a hill like this, and if you are here, So you can go in this way, you can go in this way, you can go in this way, you can go in this way. So how can we geometrically find out the direction of gradient? So the direction of gradient, what we know that the direction of gradient will be the direction of steepest slope. The direction of gradient will be what? The direction of the steepest slope. In general, we can write this as, write it down, gradient of t points in the direction of maximum increase of the function, which is t here in our case. Okay, so where does it will point, where direction? So it will point in the direction where it has maximum increase, not the maximum value. It when where it has maximum increase. Also, we can write the magnitude that is this. We can write the magnitude like this. Give the slope along its maximal direction. Sorry, along its maximal direction. Okay. So also if we know this point, it's good. If we don't know this point, you don't need to bother about this. Okay. You just need to have a basic idea about this. For example, let's solve one thing, that is, wait. If we find the gradient of r as r vector upon mod r, or this. So we have to solve this. We have to prove this. And what we are given with, we are given with this relation. We are not vector. This is a scalar function. This x square plus y square plus z square. R is a scalar quantity, and this is the magnitude is given here. Okay. So we need to find this gradient of r. So just we have to partially differentiate this. So I'm not writing it again and again. So you can check this 1 by 2, 2x, and this will come out 1 by x square plus y square plus z square. When we are partially differentiating it with x-axis, we will treat y and z as constant. So y and z will treat it as constant, and x square, this is 2x, this is half. We can differentiate it like this. I cap. Similarly with y, we will get 1 by 2, 2y under root x square y square plus z square. I know you know the basics of partial differentiation. 1 by 2, 2z under root x square plus y square plus z square k. So we can cut the 2, 2, 2. Okay. Also, we can write it as xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap upon under root x square plus y square plus z square. It's clearly the above one is what? R vector, and the rest is mod r, or you can simply say the r, what we have find here. Okay, so this is basically a typical case to show that how can we find a gradient of function. So we are not going to discuss any numerical problem based on this. We will incorporate this in our conservation of energy part. Okay, so next part what we are going to discuss is the divergence. So we're not going to deep intuition about this. We are just writing about the what you say, mathematical part. So it is the dot product of this operator with, let's suppose we have a, let's suppose v vector. So we can write it as, we can write this operator as I del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z dot vx I can, we can resolve into components j cap plus vz k cap. Okay, so what we will get after this dot product, we will get del vx upon del x plus del vy upon del y plus del vz upon del z. So if you look it carefully, you will find out this will become a scalar quantity, right? So we can say that this one, just like dot product, the divergence is also a scalar quantity. Okay, and it is defined for a vector just like the dot product. So what does it geometrically mean? We are looking all these in very brief. Okay, just get some point. Suppose this is the point, and if we are going this, then this, then this, see, the length are increasing. So we can say that it is a positive divergence. So this is the meaning of divergence, how it is spread. Okay, for example, if it goes like this, same, no divergence, it have no divergence because it's not spreading anymore. Okay, if it will come in like this, 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 then for this point it will become what, negative divergence, right? So divergence in generally, if we talk in Hindi, फैलाव, कितना फैल रहा है, कितना स्प्रेड आउट हो रहा है किसी पॉइंट से कोई चीज, ठीक है? तो जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हम इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड को देखें तो वहां उसके हम डाइवर्जेंस निकाल सकते हैं एक पॉइंट चार्ज के थ्रू. ओके, सो वी आर नॉट गोइंग so deep in this, we are just this concerned about this part. If you want to find the divergence, we can apply this result. Okay, okay, next, the curl. Also here also we are writing the mathematical relation only. So if this works as the simply like the cross product, as we have discussed the cross product, simply I cap, j cap and k cap. So from above we can write del of del x, del of del y, del of del z, and its component vx, vy and vz. Also you can notice that just like the cross product, it will give us a vector quantity, right? So how will we find the curl? And it is a vector quantity. These two things are basically important. And if you want to find out what geometrically mean, so it geometrically mean towards a point, what is the curl? This one, see this, like a cyclone. You can say that if we have a cyclone, it has a very great curl. So how does a vector rotate about a point? That is basically the curl about that point. Okay, so we need to just know this value only. Okay, also I am writing some of the useful results. You can write it down, and I suggest you to memorize the result because we will use it frequently. Okay, some of the important results from whatever we have studied. So we will see also some of all the results after this lecture also. Whenever we need mathematical tools, we will introduce it. But for now, we will stop our discussion of mathematical tools with this some useful result. So what you need to know, suppose f and g are scalar function. I'm treating f and g as scalar function, and vector a and v, these are vector. So I am considering this. Okay, so write it down, and you must remember this formula. These are very basic formula, and I should remember. Okay, so this is the formula of divergence, simply as you do in the derivative. Second one, a vector plus b vector I'm just going to write it down. You can first forward the video, or I suggest you to write it down in your notes also. It's better if you write with me. Okay. We are not interested in any proof, any of the relation inequalities, right? We just need to memorize these things. So whenever we need this, whenever I introduce this in class, you should be familiar with these results. At least it should be written in your notes. Plus b vector cross gradient a plus a dot nabla b plus b. Okay, the sixth one, this is the dot product, this is the scalar function, this is the vector function. So we can write it as this dot a, this is the dot. See clearly the dot where I have written dot. Okay. Let's move to this seventh one. This we can, if we have a cross b, then its divergence we can write it at b vector dot gradient a minus a vector dot vector into b. 8. Okay, come with the cross product. If we have a scalar multiplication with vector, so we can write this as above with a minus sign here. See, we can define cross product and dot product for vectors only. So whenever this operator is operating on this scalar function, it will make it's making this a vector function. We know that gradient is a vector function. Okay, the ninth one, a cross b. So I suggest you to memorize all these formula, because all of them are very basic in nature and we will use them frequently in our lectures. So you should know this. Okay, not plus here minus, sorry, minus b vector dot a. Okay, so these are the mathematical tools we required as of now. So whenever we required, so we have law of divergence also, we have second derivative also. So we will read it in coming chapters. Okay, so I'm not going to introduce you all the mathematical lectures in this single class. Okay, now let's move on to the topics in our syllabus. That is, first topic is concept of work power and energy. So first we will discuss work here. One thing, when you are writing UPSC examination, so you need to be very specific with your definitions and physical significance. So you should work upon that also. So work can be defined as, it's a mathematical concept. Work is truly a mathematical concept. Try to understand it. And how we define that? For example, if a particle is at A and it reaches to B via this path, let's suppose, and for any moment of time, let this consider as force F and this displacement ds and the angle made with displacement theta. Okay, so we can define force as integration F dot ds from this initial position to this final position. So basically this is the mathematical definition or mathematical formula of work. So basically work is basically introduced to quantify the energy, because energy is not a physical property, it's an abstract mathematical concept, right? So to define energy, to understand energy, we need work. Okay, so I need to focus on this. What is ds? What do you understand by ds? For example, suppose this is the box, and if I put force here and block does not move, but this point shift to this point, this is the ds, but block is at rest, block is not moving. So is work done zero or work done not zero here in this case, whichever the case? So work done is not zero here. Why not zero? Because ds is here and we are applying force here, so we don't need the whole block to move, because this ds is what? Displacement of, not the whole body, it is the displacement of the point of contact with force, the point that is in contact with the force, that if that is displaced, we can say that work is done. So if we want to write its significance, what is the significance of force, or you can write some important note about this. So whenever questions come from work, or whenever you use the term work, you should know this. So basically this show fundamental relationship to energy. Also we know that whatever we do the work is converted into the energy. We will see that also. The work done in total is equal to the change of kinetic energy of the particle. We will see that also. Acha. One thing I would like to mention here, whatever we do, work can be 100% converted into energy. This is a fact. But energy cannot be converted 100% into work. Okay, if this will become true, then the efficiency of any machine will become 100%. And we know that none of the machine in this universe is efficient. It cannot use all of the energy what you provided to it. Okay, next one, it process it processes energy, process of energy transfer to the motion of object via application of force. We will see energy also. But one thing you should note here also, that whenever we discuss about the work, the force is the fundamental thing. We have to discuss about the force, its nature. But when we are going to discuss about the energy, we don't need to understand about the force, right? So if we are defining work anywhere, then the application of force is very important. Okay. Also, work done is a relative quantity, because displacement itself is a relative quantity. Okay. Also, you can write this also, tells us the impact of force on energy change. We are going to see in our coming section that whatever the impact of force in energy change, we will able to find it with work energy theorem. Okay. So this is for work as of now. We'll come to this later also. Next, second one is the energy. So we cannot define energy directly. We can write it as it is the capacity to do work, right? It's not a physical property. Just try to understand. It's not a physical property. It's basically a abstract, abstract happiness, sorrow. It's an abstract mathematical quantity, right? वो आत्मा परमात्मा वाली जो बात होती है, वही है एनर्जी. तो previously we know that energy and matter are two different things, but as science develops, we came to know as energy is the result of matter, or matter is the energy of matter is the result of energy. Also we can write it down, energy is temperature or temperature energy when we talk about the ideal gases, right? When we talk about the gases, ideal gases, when we talk about the molecular structure, everything at molecular structure. So what is temperature? So temperature is the kinetic energy of that molecule, right? Also, energy is basically arrangement. If we are going to arrange two or more than two charges together, we need some sort of potential energy there. Okay. So whatever in this universe can be demonstrated in terms of energy, and that's why conservation of energy or energy is very important to read. Okay. Next is power. Sorry. Third is power. So what do you mean by power? So it is rate of doing work. Rate of doing work. And actually this matters if we go into the industrial sector, right? So you have seen also the motor, right? Horsepower is given there. And you have also seen many machines. You have also seen the bulb rating, right? So power is essential. So power is basically कि क्या हम input और क्या हम output ले रहे हैं. What is work क्या हो रहा है, एनर्जी क्या चल रही है, इससे बहुत ज्यादा काम नहीं है. हम उसको कितना इफेक्टिवली ले पा रहे हैं, उसका रेट क्या है, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. फॉर एग्जांपल मान लो कि अगर तुम्हें 500 जूल चाहिए और 500 जूल तुम्हें 10 साल में मिले तो कोई मतलब नहीं है. अगर तुम्हें 500 जूल 10 सेकंड में मिल जाए तो लगेगा ठीक है यार कुछ एनर्जी मिल गई. तो बेसिकली दिस इज पावर. और पावर में बहुत अभी काम करने की जरूरत नहीं है. अभी बस समझो कि पावर इज व्हाट, dw by dt, that is rate of doing work, and we can write that f dot dr by dt. Dr by dt can be written as fv also. Okay. So this is it for the power. We need to study one more thing, and that is kinetic energy. What do you mean by kinetic energy? So basically kinetic energy is what? Energy possesses due to its motion. So if a particle has momentum, it will have kinetic energy. So what? Momentum is related with kinetic energy and kinetic energy is related with momentum. So if a particle has kinetic energy, it will have momentum. If a particle has momentum, it will have kinetic energy. So what do we mean by kinetic energy of a particle? So we are discussing translational only for as of now. Okay. If we are discussing translational motion, then kinetic energy can be written as half mv square. Half mv square, where v is what? The speed of the particle. V is what? Speed of the particle. And also this kinetic energy is a relative term. What relative? Because speed itself is relative. So maybe, for example, A and B is here, and both of them are moving with velocity v here, and a person C is here, let's suppose. So kinetic energy of A with respect to C is what? Half mv square, considering m to be its mass, but kinetic energy of A with respect to B is what? 0. This is very important. Many times students forget about this result. It's a relative term, and whenever you write the equations of kinetic energy, whenever the term comes kinetic energy in the answer for the value addition part, you have to write this part also. It's a relative term, it's a relative thing. It depends upon the observer, whether the observer is it at rest, whether the observer is at moving, right? So it will change accordingly. It is not absolute. Okay, so we are going to discuss one more thing, although it's not directly written in your syllabus, but when we derive conservation of energy, we have to derive the two part, one for the kinetic energy part, one for the potential energy part. So for the kinetic energy part, you can use this theorem only, and this is the work energy theorem, and it states that work done by all the forces acting on a body is equal to the change in kinetic energy. Is equal to the what? Is equal to the change in kinetic energy. So let's derive this. Okay, so we know that what we know that from the definition of work, we can write work as integration f dot dr and rb, this is ra. Okay, this we know. Also we need to write this also using Newton's second law for constant mass system. What we can write? F is equals to what? Ma, and that is equals to m dv by dt. You must be clear about this. We have to use second law for of constant mass for use for finding the kinetic energy of the particle. Okay, so whenever you are deriving work energy theorem or you are writing conservation of energy theorem, so you must write Newton's second law name there. Okay, it's very important to write. Okay, so we can write their work Ra to Rb. Suppose the particle starts from the A point and moves to the B point, right? It has velocity VA at this point and VB at this point. Let's suppose. So we can write as F dot dr. We can write F as m dv by dt. M goes out because it's constant. dv by dt dot dr. So dr upon dt, we can write it as V. So we can write it as m dv dot v. So Ra to Rb, but here we can write as Va to Vb. Also, what is dv dot dv? So if we dv dot v, that is dv square, we can write it as dv dot v plus v dot dv, that is 2 v dot dv. So we can directly write it as taking m inside, we can d of what, half mv square, using this result. See this here, v dot dv, dv square by 2, taking m inside, we can write it there, va to vv. So it will come out half mvb square minus half mva square, and that is what, final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. So it will comes out to be work done total is what, delta t. So whenever you are required to use this result, you have to derive it from here only. Okay, and it signifies, it gives the relation between, what is this, here is work and here is what, energy, right? And this is the most important concept in work energy. Okay, now let us practice some questions, then we will move further. Okay, work done by constant force. Work done by constant force. Find the work by a force F equals to F naught n cap, okay, where F naught is constant, where F naught is what, constant, and n is unit vector in some given direction. So this is our question, we need to solve this. Try it, it's a very easy question. Every one of you can solve this. So for, let's suppose, let's draw the coordinate first. Suppose this is the coordinate, this is x axis and this is y axis. Suppose the particle is at this point, this is Ra, and particle goes to this point, this is Rb, and force is above, F naught n cap, let's suppose. So we need to find the work done from B to A. So we can write as F dot dr Ra to Rb. So F naught n cap is what, is constant, we can take it, integrate this dr from Ra to Rb. So it will become F naught n cap dot RB minus RA. What is RB minus RA here? What is RB minus RA? So this is this R vector. So we can write this at F naught, and let's suppose this is the angle theta between them. We can write it as F naught R cos theta. This is the work done by the constant force. F naught R cos theta. Okay. So what we can conclude about this position? So we can write it then, if a constant force is acting on the particle, we can simply write that work done by constant force, we can write it F dot R. We can use this directly. So what we want to conclude from this question. Okay. Next, these are easy questions. These are just to refresh your concepts. Next, central force is very important for us. So in every chapter, we will come up across this work done by a central force. We already know central force is what? Central force is what? F, dependent upon the position. Okay. So write out the question. A central force is a radial force that depends only on the distance from origin. That only depends upon the distance from the origin. Let us find the work. Let us find the work by the central force, and is given as F is equals to FR R cap. See this. This is what we mean by central force. Okay. On a particle that's moved from RA vector to RB vector. Okay. Consider motion in a plane. What we are considering? We are considering motion in a plane. Try it first. So what we have to find? This F dot dr. Okay. So how can we do this? So first we have to write this dr. So we can write this dr as dr r cap plus rd theta theta cap. If you forgot the result, just try to remember the velocity formula, right? Dr by dt, that is dr by dt r cap plus rd theta by dt theta cap. Okay, and we are going to use this. So if we put this here, this will become fr r cap dot dr r cap plus rd theta theta cap. So what will it give? R theta. So it will give fr into dr from A to B. We are going to find it out. Okay. So this is the relation what we have to require. So work done by any central force, we can come to this conclusion, fr and dr. So if we know the value of Fr, we can integrate it easily. Okay, now let's quickly move on to the next topic, that is conservation of energy. But before studying that, I need to define potential energy. So what do we mean by potential energy? So potential energy is energy possessed due to the position or arrangement or configuration. Right. This is basically what be potential energy. So if the energy is dependent upon the position only, right? It's not dependent upon the path. If energy, or better to say, if work depends upon only initial and final position, because for a work we have to define two position, and what we know energy due to the position only, then we can say that dw is du minus du. dw is what? Minus du. Okay, so this is the relation that I think you are aware it with from your junior classes. And let's move on to the conservation of energy. This is the most important topic till now. Okay, so we need to define certain things before proceeding this thing. So based on the work done dependency on path, okay, forces are defined into two systems. One is conservative force and another is what? Non-conservative forces. So first understand this. Okay, so what is conservative force? We can write it then. A force is said to be conservative if it does not depend, if its work done, if its work done is path independent. We will write the mathematical equation also for this. Or in a round trip, net work done is 0. This is the very important thing. For this, you can write just the negative thing of this. Okay, if we find the example, so forces that depends upon velocity, forces that depends upon velocity, wait, velocity dependent forces are basically non-conservative in nature. For example, viscous force, okay, friction force, okay, damping force, and here you can write the central forces, position dependent. For example, gravitational, spring, electrostatic forces, right? So you can use all of these things. Okay, we will come to the mathematical conclusion part also, but from here we can define it like this only. Okay, next, one thing that should be mathematically said, that if force is conservative, it should be written as the gradient of a scalar function, where phi is any scalar function which turn out to be the potential energy in this case. Okay, so what we can write it here, no, so we can write is that, okay, cool. So let's write and work. So we can write it as f dot dr, that will become minus gradient of the scalar function phi into dr. So it will become what? Minus outside del phi by del x I cap plus del phi by del y j cap plus del phi by del z k cap dot. What is dr? Dr is what? Dx I cap dy j cap plus dz k cap. So we can simply write it as minus, taking dot product, d phi by, sorry, del phi by del x dx plus del phi by del y dy plus del phi by del z dz. And what we can write it as? We can write it as minus d phi. Okay. So also let us say phi equals to u, and that we define the potential energy. So we can come to this conclusion also. dw is what? Minus d phi, that is equals to minus du. So work done by conservative force, what does it means? This means work done by conservative force stored in potential energy of the system. Also, what does negative sign indicate? So negative sign indicate work done by force decreases the potential energy. So we will come to the potential energy curve later also. Okay, so this is it for now for potential energy. We will see in atomic uh, attraction. Okay, we will see some more cases also, but first we should derive this equation. So what we can write, so what is dw? So we can here write that delta w w is equals to what? Delta T, we have already discussed, and this is equals to what? From here we can write it as minus del U. So we can write is that T delta T plus delta U is equals to 0. See, we have already derived this part. When you are deriving this in examination, you need to derive this part also. So we can write this. And what is this called? This is the mechanical energy of the system. And what is this? This is the change. Change in the mechanical system is what? 0. So if conservative force act on the system, then the change in mechanical energy is 0. We can write it as this also. Tf plus Uf is equals to Ti plus Ui. We can write it as in this form also. Delta T we can write Tf minus Ti. Delta you can write Uf minus Ui. Okay. So this is how we can derive this result. Also, some very important points. Okay. If F is conservative, then all of these things will become true. The first thing is curl of the function will be 0. How can we write this? See this? This is very important. See this. So del phi, see, same direction, cross product will become 0. Also, second, integration f dot dr. This is the definition of conservative force. In a round trip or in a loop, the net work done will be 0. This is the first one. This is the second one. Okay. The third one. If a force is conservative, then the force will be the what? Gradient of potential energy. This is third one and the important one. All of these results are simultaneously true. Okay. If one is true, all of them are always true. Also, delta K plus delta U is 0. That is basically our conservation of energy. And we will see it is very helpful in solving many of the problems. Okay. And it is one of the basic fundamental conservation law in our universe. So let us move to the practice part. Let's do some practice. Okay. Write it down. Show that F equals to YZ I cap ZX J cap plus XY K cap is a conservative force. Okay. So how can we solve this? So when we are writing this, this is a very easy problem. And this type of problem may come in your examination. So you need to write what do you mean by conservative force and what are the characteristics of conservative force, all the four. Then you will come to this conclusion. We will use this equation as of now. What will be delta into F? So it will become I cap, J cap, K cap, del by del Y, del by del Z. Okay, wait. For introduction part, you have to write what do you mean by conservative force? You should write. And then all four properties. And then you will write down this part. YZ, ZX, XY. Okay. So solve this. So for I, this del X by del Y. it will become x minus x plus j y minus y plus k cap. This is very easy to solve, equals to 0. And also, then also you have to write, hence f is forces conservative in nature, right? So these things you have to write down in your answer. Also, we will discuss about it later in our answer writing session. Okay, so next, move on to the next question.